Hello, it is I, your host, Mario.
And I am Luigi.
Today we are trying to defeat Bowser, also known as the freaking atomic bomb. Uh, we're talking about Doctor Strangelove, my favorite film of all time, and Braden just
I
liked
just
it.
watched it for the first time.
Yes, it's one of those films that if you watch it multiple times, you get more out of it.
Yeah, most films are like
Uh,
that, which is good.
the thing about this film is the same person plays three characters.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that when I went to watch the film. I kind of I didn't think I thought there were just three people. They didn't really
Uh,
look all that alike.
So we got so our main characters are Buck Turgidson, Jack D. Ripper, Colonel Mandrake, the President. Uh,
President, what's his name? Starts with an
I
N.
don't know. There's also the Russian ambassador,
Yeah,
um, Vladimir Kisov, who we never even hear. But
yeah,
um,
but he is there. He's a character,
they got Kong.
right?
Uh, he has the coolest death in the entire movie.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we get to that. So the movie begins with a sex scene that is more sexual than the room, and it's between airplanes. It's over the opening credits.
Yeah, I didn't actually pick that one up. I was more fascinated by the fact that the credits were in the beginning of the film and not the end.
That's how Star Wars was the first film to do that, and they actually got like a fine from the film union.
I know. I read about that story. I knew that it was going to be in the beginning, but it was still cool to see.
And actually, and then we get cut to who do we see at the beginning? I forget.
Is that the scene? We're seeing the plane. I think in the beginning. Oh,
No,
no, we're seeing. No, we're not. We're seeing. I don't know all their names. The British guy, and Jack.
Mandrake and Ripper.
Yeah, Mandrake and Ripper. Yep.
Also, they had very different names in the book that this was based on.
You're
But
right. I read
Kubrick
about that as
decided to
well.
give them very funny names like Strangelove and Jack D. Ripper.
Names that audiences could resonate with.
Yes. This is a very weird film.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Um, so we begin with Jack D. Ripper essentially saying, "I'm gonna nuke the Russias. No, and no one can stop me."
Yeah.
And everyone is like, "Okay." And then we cut to the airplane receiving Plan R, which is basically go and nuke the
Russia.
and so they did. And then we cut to Buck Turgidson with his secretary doing quote unquote work.
Yeah, which we all know is baloney, and we all know what happened there.
And uh, so then Buck Turgidson does not want to go because he's having some sexy fun times with his secretary. And then he's supposed to go because it's Plan R.
Yeah.
And so then he goes and to the war room, which is very funny, basically like
The war room is basically like it's like the president's group of people when discussing wartime. They're all there and they try to go about it. Like the thing about a president's work when it comes down to war is it's not like the president is just like let's go to war and then they go to war. It's endlessly discussed, especially
also the war room in this is very funny if you know what the actual war room looks like.
yeah,
But we got the big board,
right.
and they're all like basically trying to figure out what the three-letter code is prefix for the radio because it's not the radio they have is not meant to receive because they don't want fake or confusing signals to be sent by enemy powers when they're going in to conduct Plan R.
Right.
Um, and so the war room people are trying to figure out how the heck are we going to fix this. And Jack D. Ripper is basically like, I will begin the war and protect our precious bodily fluids.
Yeah, he's a nut job. He basically thinks that um, that fluoridated water is it's a communist plot.
and is trying to make them infertile.
All right.
That's the easiest way to explain it.
Pretty much. Yes.
And Colonel Mandrake is just there to watch as everything happens because it's kind of like, yes, yes,
Right.
yes. But anyways, the everyone's trying to figure out how to get to Jack Ripper, and trying to figure out how they can get the 3-letter prefix so they can tell the people the planes to go home. And the president talks to the Russian and to the communist leader, Vladimir Kisov. Kubrick done it again.
Yeah.
That's a very 60s trope where you only hear one side of the phone conversation.
Right, and you never hear Kisop speak, but you could kind of infer what he's talking about.
Yeah. And there's also, by this time we have met the Russian ambassador, and
Right.
then the president got mad with Turgidson and the ambassador because they fought in the war room.
Yeah, you can't fight in the war room. It's the war room.
Man, there's no fighting in here. This is the war room.
But
we then cut back to the people on the plane trying to make their way to their primary target.
Right.
Which is, I don't know, I forget what it is. I think it's a missile silo of some kind.
Yeah, they're trying to. I think their primary target was just like a base.
The important thing is, they try to get to a primary target, and then after that they try to get to the secondary
target. Yeah.
But the important thing is, they get attacked by a Russian missile.
Right.
And it destroys their radio.
Yeah, it was a little stupid because when I was watching the film, I was like, guys, there's clearly a missile trying to attack you, and it keeps popping up on radar, and they're just like, oh, it's getting closer. It's getting closer.
Yes, but they're trying to evade it. They're trying to use evasive maneuvers to try to avoid getting hit.
I know, but clearly it didn't work.
Yes, it didn't work, but they survived. We see later in the film that 3 other planes did not perform the evasive maneuvers correctly, and they did not.
But they were able to, which is good.
But no, the fact that they survived is very, very bad.
Well,
it's very bad.
Right, but it depends on what you're
But then
for.
basically everyone, eventually Jack realizes that there's no way that he's gonna survive, and if they torture him, he's afraid he's not gonna be able to survive the torturing, so he kills himself.
Right.
And then there's this dude, and he comes and he's like, what the hell's going on here? And he's like, basically like arrests Mandrake.
Right.
And Mandrake's like, I'm pretty sure I know that 3-letter prefix is. And then he goes to but then the phone lines are dead, so he has to go to a payphone. And he can't, and he doesn't have enough money. But luckily there's a Coca-Cola machine there. And he tells the colonel there, hey, shoot that block. Well, and he basically says, if you can't reach the president, you're going to have to answer the Coca-Cola company.
Yeah, which was definitely not an ad placement.
But then he shoots it, and then they get the money they need, and then he gets sprayed in the face with Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and instead of opening up his mouth, he's just kind of like letting it hit his eyes because he's an idiot.
Anyways, the 3-letter code works, and they're all celebrating, and Buck Turretson's like, yes, and Doctor Strange was like, but the Russian ambassador at this place told him that if a nuke goes off, there's a doomsday device that's computer activated that will essentially kill everyone.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And the only reason that it hasn't been revealed yet is because the Premier Kissoff surprised it was gonna reveal it on Monday.
Right. Which is so stupid, but
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But then they think they got all the planes. They got the guard is just saying that 4 were destroyed and all the other 30 were coming back. But
right.
One singular plane that didn't have a working radio survived. And everyone, and then Turgidson was like, "This is a Russian plot. They want to find a way for us to go to war." And he's like, nah.
Yeah.
And they figure out, oh crap. And then
there actually is
Turgidson's like, "Oh, you think he can do it? He can do it. This pilot, I know this pilot. You can see him in this. He can do barrel rolls." And he's like, "Do you think he can? Do you think he can do it?" He's like, "Oh yeah, hell he can." And then he's like, "Oh no."
Yeah. So basically, the
And
moral
but
of the
then
story
because of
is
the
train your pilots terribly.
but there's also another thing. Because of the missile, they're losing a lot of fuel very quickly, and they're not going. And but because they don't want this to go off, they're guarding the primary and secondary targets, but they cannot reach the primary and secondary target right now, so they decide to go to a different target because they can't reach the primary and secondaries. But everyone is focusing on the primary and secondary targets when they should be focusing on a different. But that they chose to go to a different target.
Right.
And by doing this, um, they will not face any difficulties launching the nuke. And everyone in the war room is scared out of their mind because they don't want to die.
Right.
And so they're talking about like survive. And Doctor Strangelove brings up the fact that they should survive in mine shaft, but it's also his arm is trying to do the Heil Hitler.
Yeah, he
because
apparently
he was a German
from,
scientist.
Yeah, he apparently suffers from an alien hand syndrome or something like that. Where
And then he's in a wheelchair and he's trying to avenge his arm from basically choking him and doing the Hail Hitler salute. It's a very funny scene. Like, also, Peter Sellers found that glove and decided to put it on. It originally wasn't in the script, which I find is very funny.
He's like, "Oh, look at this glove here. All right."
And then so then that happens, and then the nuke goes off, and Commander Kong freaking rides the nuke because he was fixing the doors when the nuke went down. and he freaking like rides it like he's on like a horse, and he got the easy death, man. He got vaporized.
Yeah, and then everyone else. So then
is arguing about about surviving in mine shafts and the fact that there will not be a mine shaft gap. Yes.
And then unfortunately,
and then Doctor Strangelove is able to walk again. He's like, "My viewer, I can walk." Takes a few steps.
And then basically what ends up happening is all the nukes go off in the end credits, and yeah.
It's a very abrupt ending.
I was confused. I was like, wait, is there gonna be more? Like, are we gonna see them in the mine shafts? No. So
no. The entire importance of this film is that the government is arguing because they just cannot figure out a way to get everyone in the mine shafts properly. Everyone is dead.
Yeah, and there can't be a mine shaft gap. So.
Yeah, literally everyone's dead. It's a very like anti Cold War film.
Right, and it's kind of like a show of our government at the time and how they were really inept at like just making even the simplest of decisions.
And the best part about this film, I have to say, is the fact that just like a lot of Kubrick films, it did not get the appreciation it deserved until like 20 years after it was made.
Yeah.
Like, it happened in 2001, A Space Odyssey. It happened to The Shining. Well, that was not so soon. It did happen to The Shining. But
yeah.
Yeah, it was. And the reason I know why it did not do as well as it could have is because a black comedy like that in the midst of the Cold War does not do well.
Yeah, I think it would have been. I think it's a really like important film for the time, because like obviously it's not as relevant as you would want it to be today. It still is relevant today. I can definitely agree with that, but I think this was trying to show people in the 1960s what we cannot do.
However, I have to say, even today, when showing this to somebody, they will enjoy it because it's a good comedy. And if Kubrick had done more comedies, I feel like they would have been good. But this is the only comedy Kubrick ever made.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like really old films. I just kind of can't relate to it. But with this film, I mean, like, I knew the context of what it was. I thought it'd be really hard to follow, and at the beginning I was like, what are they doing? But they kind of inform you on things, and by the end of the film, I had a pretty good understanding of what had happened. And the thing is, it's also very short.
Only an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it
it's
certainly
about as long as the.
it felt like a normal length film, and I was very confused when I was like, oh, this is only an hour and a half, because they don't skip a second. They don't miss a second of action and information.
It was about the same length as the film, but the film felt 3 times longer.
Right. Both films felt long, but both for very different reasons. This one felt long because it seized every opportunity and made the most out of its time. So it stuck with me the longest. With The Room, it was like it just feels long, like it's just never gonna end. With Doctor Strangelove, it was great, and I think one of the reasons why, for me at least, it felt longer than an hour and a half was because I was so invested into it that I kind of lost track of time. Like, I legitimately figured that, like, I don't know, it felt longer to me. It felt like it was like 2.5 hours that I was sitting there watching it instead of just an hour and a half.
But a few things I need to mention before we, give our ratings of it.
Yeah.
I watched this on VHS. I did. And it's surreal to watch it on VHS because that's probably what the home medium that a lot of people saw it on when they saw it in at the home in the 80s when it became a lot more popular. And it's also a very important film when you talk about U.S. history.
Yeah.
Because in US too, one of the teachers at the high school does actually show this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, US too.
I don't take US too, but that sounds cool though.
And the thing about it is, it's my parents are history professors, and my dad he showed that in his class. It's important for pop culture of the time, and also how people saw the government in this era. Either you were very supportive of your government, or you were, not too happy with it.
Right. I think the biggest part about the Cold War is the fact that it didn't happen. Because if it did happen, either none of us would be here today, or very few of us would be. And the fact that something like that could even begin to happen, I think, is what this film is trying to portray. The fact that a doomsday event could even happen isn't good. And even then, I mean, they were in the thick of it. I don't know I think this film came out in 1961. It could have been somewhere
1963.
1963. That was still in the heat of the Cold War. You were getting out of it at that point. I think after Vietnam, it definitely cooled down a little bit. I know it lasted until about 1980, 1990, really, but the Cold War was very. They kind of went into, if I remember correctly, it went to a pause during the Vietnam War, but that could be wrong information. So make sure to kind of do your own research there, because I'm sure there's plenty of websites that can give you good information on the Cold War, much more than I can. But this film is so important to it, and it really, I think it had the opinion of most Americans at the time. I don't think many Americans wanted to go to war. I think that's the case with World War II. Probably not with World War One, but most wars people don't want to go to.
LBJ would have been one of the greatest presidents we would have ever had if he did not go to Vietnam. That's a fact.
I mean, yeah, I think if you look at his legacy and you look past Vietnam, I think really, I mean, you can't look past Vietnam, but if you do, then I think he's probably like top 10. Unfortunately, he had Vietnam, so now he's like top 30. I don't know.
I mean, there are a few presidents that, if you get past, it's not that surprising.
Right. But
also, if you remember at the end of the film, those were actual recordings of nuclear bomb tests.
Yeah, it looked like that. There was fields. There wasn't like any like people or anything. So I kind of figured that it was some kind of test or some kind of like there wasn't CGI obviously, so some kind of weird editing. But yeah,
Also, I do not want to see a remake of this film.
I don't think they will. Kubrick films tend to not get remade.
And the reason is because there is nothing that can really be improved from this film. It's a very much a age of like that time.
I think the best they'd be able to do is colorize it, but I think that's all they would ever do this film. Maybe make it in like high definition or something.
But because it is a Kubrick film, you know, most Kubrick films that we will see on this podcast, because Kubrick films will be on like the specials of
there'll be some of the good films to watch.
They're gonna get some of the best ratings, and that's why I give this film a 10 out of 10 because it's one of my favorite films of all time.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's very close, but a 10 out of 10 for me pretty much has to be not only mind blowing, but also like incredibly relevant and like just literally perfect. Maybe I'm a very harsh grader there. It's kind of like the same reason why I can't give 0 out of 10s, because it has to be literally no redeeming quality. But 9.5 is really good. That's where I put. I'm a huge fan of like Marvel films, and that's where I put a lot of Marvel films is 9.5. So, yeah.
This is a completely different compared to Marvel films. I feel like if Kubrick was alive today, he'd be like the Martin Scorsese. He would have the same opinion of Marvel films as
right.
Martin Scorsese.
I understand why people don't like superhero films, but you can't really be like, oh, they're not films, or they don't do anything to help the film industry. I definitely think that they're good films, and I think that people severely underrate them or severely overrate them. They need to be just the right amount of rating.
The fact of the matter is, our longest single film review is still Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I have no idea why.
I think we just talked for a long time about the stupid alien head. Because I remember we talked about xenomorphs. We really went all over the place with that one.
Yeah. But the fact that Peter Stellar's portrayed 3 different characters.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. And then when I read about it later, whenever I watch one of these films, I tend to look up some facts about it so I can like know a little bit more about what happened during the production. And I was like, wow, he played 3 characters, and I didn't notice.
He was pretty kooky though.
Yeah.
Peter Stellar's. But Doctor Strangelove in general is not that important of a character, but he's also the most important character at the same time.
He is definitely like the reason why this film is so almost eerie. He almost brings like an eerie vibe to it, because it's like he's like this guy who does know a lot, but at the same time is still reveling even from the effects of World War II. You know, it's really weird and it's what makes the film just that little bit better.
Anyways, if you haven't seen this film, buy it.
Or if I actually ended up renting this from our local library, so if you want, I mean, that's free. That's a really easy way to just get a film. Just go to your library. Obviously, most libraries do like pickups, so you can just get in your car, drive to the library, and just pick up a DVD. Or you can rent it.
I am just happy that I saw that film again, because it is a great film.
Yeah,
they did remaster it recently in a DVD collection. It looks better. It's just better in general because like they just completely remastered it for DVDs, and it looks like a Blu-ray because like you can't really make stuff that's that old high def.
Right. I mean, it's definitely doable, but it's tough to do. I think we'll have the technology though eventually to make stuff like that high definition. And even like ultra high def and stuff.
The villain of this film, I would say, is a lot. People would say it's Jack the Ripper, and he is a main threat. But I would say the main villain is actually just fear.
I think the antagonist of this film is war, and how war can corrupt even the brilliantest of minds.
most brilliant. I don't think brilliantist.
Brilliantist. I don't care. It was a good quote. And then.
Well, watch this film, and yeah.
Yeah. Be sure to like this video if you liked this video or like the movie. Comment down below any good or bad films we should review, because we'll probably get around to reviewing them. And make sure to subscribe to, sort of stay notified. And if you want to fully stay notified, you can click the bell. We upload once a week. I kind of messed up last week. I had a lot of schoolwork, so I didn't post it till Friday. But normally it's on Mondays or Tuesdays, somewhere around there.
Or Wednesdays.
Or Wednesdays. Or maybe it'll come out at some point during that week.
We post once a week, okay?
At some point during that week. Sunday to
stay notified. Ring that bell, baby. And don't forget to subscribe. 90% of our subscribers are viewers are not subscribed. So if you smash that bell,
I don't even know how to check that statistic. I have no idea if
we have 11 subscribers. I don't think we can check.
I think it's 11 subscribers, 11 views normally. So 100% of our subscribers are 100% of our viewers are subscribers. Let's go. But yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Our channel name is very common.
Yeah, I was looking up our channel name and everyone had just had bad movie reviews, and I'm like, oh, I mean, I guess it makes sense. We need
to in the comments just come up with a better name for our channel.
Come up with a better name. That should be the name. Come up with a better name.
It should be like 2 Nerds Talk About Star Wars again. Stupid.
Yeah, we had an old channel called 2 Nerds Talk About Star Wars.
We have our creativity wells are drier than dry there.
Yeah, we basically just come up with exactly what we're doing.
So how about Mario and Luigi partners in time, Luigi time? I love how the last 15 minutes are just us messing around talking about the film a tiny bit, but then just nothing else.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, guys, we want to let you we want to let you get back to your regularly scheduled programming. So this is us signing off.
Get away from here, you boring people! I'm going to insult you. I'm going to insult you. That's gonna give us more subscribers, right?
Insult them until they leave. No.
I'm pretty sure 90% of them left within the first 5 minutes.
Probably.
We don't really throw wow, look at this banana peel or something like that. Wow, look at this! Look at Peter Stellar's face.
Yeah. All right, for real though. This is the end. This is the end of the video. All right, goodbye.